India needs no sermons, and certainly not from the West. We know what is in our best interest and we will act to secure ourselves. The West is finally coming to terms with India's autonomous foreign policy. Here is how. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Apurva, and in this video I will tell you how, under the leadership of PM Modi, that the world is not only acknowledging but accepting India's assertive foreign policy. So let's begin. The West has failed. It threatened India with dire consequences. It told India that it would suffer if it did not speak against Russia. New Delhi was told that the choice is between good and bad, that India must compromise on its national interests to remain in the good books of the United States-led Western world order. India was told not to buy Russian oil, to desist from procuring Russian weapons. White House press secretary, in a question related to India buying Russian crude oil, said that it was not a violation of US sanctions, but the deal could place New Delhi on the wrong side of the history.
Also think about where you want to stand when the history books are written in this moment in time. And support for the Russian leadership is support for an invasion that obviously is having a devastating impact.
But the United States and its Western allies were brutally mistaken. The United Kingdom's Trade Secretary said that the UK was very disappointed with India's neutral position on the Ukraine crisis. India remained steadfast. India did not buckle under the pressure of the West. India kept its foreign policy independent and autonomous, deciding decisively to not get bullied by the United States and Europe. In fact, even Japan tried to sway India to take anti-Russia position. However, that endeavor failed too. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida pushed Prime Minister Narendra Modi to condemn Russia during his visit to New Delhi over the weekend. Kishida said after his meeting with PM Modi that Putin's attack on his neighbor was serious and has shaken the global order. In contrast, PM Modi confined his comments to the economic issues. Meanwhile, the joint statement issued after the two leaders' meeting made no mention of Russia, although it did call for an immediate cessation of violence in Ukraine, which is a consistent line taken by New Delhi ever since the conflict first began. The Australian High Commissioner said the Quad countries have accepted India's position. We understand that each country has a bilateral relationship, and it is clear from the comments of the MEA and Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself that he has used his contacts to call for the end of the conflict, and no country will be unhappy with that. Essentially, the United States has come to terms with the fact that India cannot be coerced into pursuing an anti-Russia line. Speaking out against Russia is not in India's national interest. Even if one were to ignore the deep strategic defense ties between New Delhi and Moscow, the fact that Russia has stood with India throughout history when nobody else would is reason enough for us to not condemn the world's largest country, even though the West wants us to. America and its allies have repeatedly backstabbed India. As such, it makes no sense for New Delhi to jeopardize its flourishing ties with Moscow at the West's insistence. India is not a country, especially in 2022, which the West can force its decisions and foreign policy upon. New Delhi knows its power, influence and standing. Today, India is an indispensable and crucial component of the democratic world order. The West can do nothing but cope with the autonomous decisions of India. It must realize that the world is no longer run by has-been powers.